Have you ever looked around a room full of people, people you know, maybe even people you love, and felt like you were watching them from behind a pane of glass? You are not antisocial. You are not broken. What if you are simply differentiated? After the fire and ash of the dark night of the soul, a strange and quiet landscape can emerge, a profound and often unsettling loneliness. You survived the breakdown. You are more yourself than ever before. So why do you feel more alone? We are taught that loneliness is one of the worst human experiences, a symptom of disconnection. But there was a type of loneliness that is not a symptom of disconnection, but a sign of profound self-connection. It is the loneliness that comes from refusing to betray yourself for the sake of fitting in. This loneliness is not a weakness, it is a hallmark of integrity. Today, we will give a name to this noble loneliness. Guided by the wisdom of Jung's work on individuation, we will explore the psychological concept of differentiation. We will understand the crucial, life-changing difference between the desperation of fitting in and the quiet power of true belonging. And we will see why on this path of deep shadow work, becoming more yourself sometimes means, for a time, standing alone. This is not a sign that you have failed. It is the final and most profound sign that you have graduated.
The pane of glass is invisible, but you can feel it. It is the quiet separation that descends in the middle of a lively conversation. A space opens up, a space you did not create. And suddenly, you are no longer a participant. You are an observer, watching the familiar dance of human interaction as if it were a foreign film. This is the loneliness that follows the dark night. And to understand it, we must first understand that not all loneliness is created equal. There is the loneliness of absence, a painful longing for connection that is not there. There is the solitude of presence, the joyful connection to oneself. But what you are feeling is a third and more mysterious state. It is the loneliness that is born not from a lack of connection, but from a surplus of integrity. This is what the great family systems therapist Murray Bowen, whose work resonates deeply with Jung's ideas of individuation, called differentiation of self. Let us define it simply. Differentiation is your ability to maintain your own sense of self, your thoughts, your feelings, your core beliefs, while in close emotional contact with others, especially when there is pressure to conform. Think of it as a spectrum. On one end, you have low differentiation. This is a state of fusion, or what is often called enmeshment. This is the default state of the people-pleaser. In this state, your emotional well-being is completely tied to the emotional well-being of the people around you. If they are anxious, you are anxious. If they are angry, you feel it is your fault. You are a drop of water in their emotional ocean. There is no separation. You are the storm. Your driving question is, what do they need me to be? On the other end of the spectrum is high differentiation. This is not a state of cold detachment. It is a state of sovereign connection. In this state, you have a solid, flexible core. You can feel empathy for someone's storm without getting pulled into their waves. You can listen to their anger without making it about you. You can hold on to your own truth with calm conviction even when the entire room disagrees with you. You are the island in the sea. You can feel the spray of the waves, but you are not the wave. Your driving question is, what is true for me right now? The entire journey of shadow work, of healing the parentified child and the fawn response, is a journey from a state of low differentiation to a state of high differentiation. You are moving from being the drop of water to becoming the island. And the loneliness you feel is the feeling of the tide going out, leaving your shores exposed for the very first time. Let's imagine Chloe at the family dinner table a year ago, before this journey began. Her parents are bickering. Her brother is withdrawn and sullen. The old Chloe, the Chloe of low differentiation, is a whirlwind of activity. She is an emotional thermostat. Her entire being is focused on managing the temperature of the room. She cracks a joke to placate her father. She asks her brother a gentle question to draw him out. She offers to get her mother a drink to soothe her. Her own feelings? They do not exist. She is completely fused with the emotional needs of the family system. She is exhausted, but she feels useful, needed. Now, let's imagine Chloe at that same dinner table tonight. Her parents begin to bicker. Her brother is sullen. The storm begins. But Chloe is different. She has been doing the work. She has been finding her feet. She has been tending to her inner garden. She feels the familiar jolt of anxiety, the old urge to jump in and fix it. But something new holds her, a quiet, solid core, her crystalline spine. She does not jump in. She does not placate. She does not rescue. She simply stays present. She listens with a heart that is now capable of feeling compassion without feeling responsibility. She sits in her own center, in her own truth. And in that room, she has never felt more alone. The pane of glass has descended. She loves these people, but she is no longer one of them in the same way. She is lonely not because she is disconnected from them, but because she is finally, unshakably connected to herself. This is the seismic shift. This is the moment of psychological graduation. You have stopped betraying your own soul for the sake of fitting in. And the silence that follows that betrayal's end can feel deafening. You have moved from the desperate, anxious work of fitting in to the quiet, dignified path of seeking true belonging. But why does this new integrity create such a gap? Why does standing in your own truth feel like standing on a separate continent? To understand that, we must look at the new language you are speaking and the old languages you can no longer tolerate.
The gap that opens up between you and the world is not empty space. It is filled with the ghosts of conversations you can no longer have, and the presence of a truth you can no longer ignore. As you become more differentiated, more whole, a natural separation occurs. And there are three profound reasons for this. The first reason, you stop speaking the tribal language. Every family, every group of friends, every workplace has its own unspoken language. Often, this is a language of shared complaint, a language of gossip, a language of us versus them. This is a bonding mechanism. It is how the group reinforces its identity and releases its tension. When you were in a state of low differentiation, you spoke this language fluently. Complaining about your boss was how you connected with your coworkers. Gossiping about a family member was how you felt included in the inner circle. It was the price of admission. But as you do your inner work, as you begin to take responsibility for your own energy and your own shadow, this language begins to taste like poison in your mouth. It is no longer a source of connection. It is a source of psychic drain. So you stop. You do not announce it. You simply fall silent. When the gossip starts, you become quiet.
When the complaining begins, you do not add your own story to the fire. And in your silence, a gap is created. The tribe senses you are no longer one of them in the same way. You are not judging them. But your silence is a mirror, and it can be a deeply uncomfortable one. The loneliness you feel is the sound of you learning a new, quieter, more honest language. The second reason for this noble loneliness, your bullshit detector becomes highly, exquisitely tuned. The emotional radar that was once a source of anxiety has now been calibrated. It is no longer just a threat detection system. It is a truth detection system, and it has zero tolerance for inauthenticity. Let's imagine Chloe is on a date. A year ago, she might have been so focused on being liked, on being the perfect date, that she would have ignored 1,000 red flags. But tonight is different. Her date is charming, saying all the right things, but Chloe's body, her finely tuned instrument, is sending her a different signal. She notices the subtle disconnect between his warm words and his cold eyes. She feels the energetic drain when he talks about himself for 20 minutes without asking her a single question. Her radar is not screaming danger. It is calmly whispering, "This is not it. This is not real." The old Chloe would have stayed, smiled, and tried harder. The differentiated Chloe honors the data. She ends the date politely and early. She goes home and she may feel a pang of loneliness, the what if of it all, but that loneliness is clean. It is the clean pain of choosing integrity over illusion. As your detector for truth becomes more refined, your tolerance for falsehood diminishes, and you begin to realize just how much of the world is built on a foundation of polite falsehoods. This realization can be a profoundly isolating one. And the third reason, perhaps the one that triggers the most fear in others, you no longer need people in the same way. The entire economy of the people pleaser is based on a transaction of need. I need your approval, and in exchange, I will meet your needs. The parentified child's identity is built on being needed. If they need me, they will not leave me. But as you become whole, as you learn to source your validation, your safety, and your sense of self from within, that desperate need evaporates. You no longer approach relationships as a hungry ghost seeking to be filled. You approach them as a sovereign being seeking to connect. This is a terrifying shift for people who are used to relationships based on codependency. When you stop needing their approval, they lose their power over you. When you stop being the rescuer, they are forced to confront their own problems. Your wholeness can feel like an abandonment to the unwhole. Your freedom can feel like a rejection. Let's imagine Chloe with her mother. For 35 years, their relationship was built on Chloe being the good, responsible daughter who managed her mother's anxiety. Now, Chloe has boundaries. She still loves her mother, but she is no longer willing to be her emotional regulator. Her mother calls in a state of mild panic about a trivial issue. The old Chloe would have spent an hour on the phone, soothing, fixing, reassuring. The new Chloe listens compassionately for 10 minutes and then says, "Mom, that sounds really hard. I have faith in you to figure it out. I have to go now, but I love you." Her mother is stunned, confused, perhaps even hurt. She might say, "You've changed. You're so cold now." What she is really saying is, "My needs are no longer the center of your universe, and that scares me." Chloe hangs up the phone, and she feels a deep, painful grief. The grief of disappointing someone she loves. the grief of being misunderstood, the loneliness of differentiation. This is the heart of the matter, the great, beautiful, painful truth that was first articulated so powerfully by Dr. Brené Brown, the difference between fitting in and true belonging. Fitting in is changing who you are to be accepted by the group. It is wearing the persona. It requires you to abandon yourself. True belonging is showing up as your authentic self and trusting that that is enough. It is the practice of belonging to yourself first. True belonging does not ask you to change who you are. It demands that you be who you are. And the loneliness of a highly differentiated person is the profound, aching, sacred space between letting go of fitting in and finding the people with whom you can truly belong.
The space between fitting in and belonging can feel like a vast, empty wilderness. It is a necessary exile, but it is not your final destination. So this brings us to the great burning question, the one that echoes in the heart of every person who has chosen the path of authenticity. Does true belonging exist? And if so, how do we find it? The answer is one of the most beautiful paradoxes of the spiritual journey. You do not find true belonging. You cultivate it within, and then you attract it without. The desperate search for your tribe, the frantic hunt for people who will finally get you, is a symptom of the old, undifferentiated self. It is still looking for a mirror outside. The sovereign self, the differentiated self, understands a deeper law, the law of resonance. Like attracts like. Your task is not to hunt for your tribe. Your task is to become the most unapologetically, authentically, and wholly you that you can be, and then trust that your people, your tribe, will recognize your light and find their way home to you. You must shift from being a life raft desperately paddling towards any island to becoming a lighthouse, standing firm in your own truth and shining your unique signal out into the world. But this requires a profound sense of inner security. How do you endure the loneliness of the in-between time? How do you learn to be okay with your own company so that you are no longer making choices out of a fear of being alone? You cannot fix this loneliness by going to more parties. You must learn to transform your solitude from a place of absence into a sanctuary of presence. You must learn to build a home inside yourself. And so I want to offer you a practice, not a strategy for meeting new people, but a ritual for meeting the deepest, wisest parts of yourself. A way to prove to your nervous system that alone does not have to mean unsupported. This is a powerful Jungian technique, a form of active imagination. Let's call it convening the inner council. In a quiet moment, when you are feeling that pang of loneliness, I invite you to do this. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine yourself in a safe, warm, beautiful room inside of you. This is your inner sanctuary. It could be a library with a fireplace, a quiet forest clearing, a room overlooking the sea. This is your space. Now, I want to invite some guests. These are not just any guests. This is your inner council, your council of wisdom and support. They do not have to be real people. In fact, it is often more powerful if they are not. Invite an archetype of wisdom. Perhaps it is Carl Jung himself, with his kind, knowing eyes. Perhaps it is a historical figure you admire for their courage, like Joan of Arc. Perhaps it is a character from a beloved book, like Gandalf. Perhaps it is a spiritual figure that resonates with you. Perhaps it's an animal, a wise old owl, or a loyal wolf. Perhaps it is the highest, wisest version of your own future self. Gather them in your room. See them sitting with you. Now speak to them, silently, in your mind. Share with them your loneliness, your fear. I feel so alone on this path. I feel like no one understands. And then listen, not for an audible voice, but for a feeling, a sense, an image, an inner knowing. Ask them the question, what wisdom do you have for me in this moment of solitude? And just receive. Maybe the Gandalf figure simply places a steady, warm hand on your shoulder. Maybe the wolf curls up at your feet, a symbol of fierce loyalty. Maybe your future self just looks at you with eyes full of love and says, "Keep going. It's worth it." What you are doing in this practice is profound. You are accessing the archetypal wisdom of the collective unconscious, the vast, ancient reservoir of human experience that lives within your own psyche. You are proving to the deepest, most primal parts of your brain that you are never truly alone. You are building a sense of belonging that is not dependent on anyone outside of you. You are becoming your own sanctuary. Let's imagine Chloe. She has just had that difficult conversation with her mother. She feels the grief, the guilt, the loneliness. Her first instinct, the old instinct, is to call a friend, to distract herself, to seek validation. But instead, she goes to her room. She closes her eyes. She convenes her council. She imagines her wise grandmother, who always knew the right thing to say. She imagines a giant, ancient redwood tree, a symbol of silent, unshakable strength. And she imagines the adult version of herself from 10 years in the future, a woman who is calm, whole, and free. She tells them about the conversation, about the pain, and she listens. And the feeling that comes back is not a solution. It is a quiet, powerful wave of peace, a sense of being held, a sense of being understood on a level deeper than words, a knowing that her solitude is a sign of her strength. This is the path forward. It is a path of paradox. The more you cultivate this rich, supportive inner world, the less desperate you will be for external validation. And the less desperate you are, the more magnetic you become. Your authenticity becomes your signal. Your integrity becomes your lighthouse beam.
And so we arrive at this quiet and noble truth. The loneliness you feel is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you have finally stopped breaking yourself for the sake of fitting in. Today we have given a name to your experience: differentiation of self. The journey from being a drop of water in the emotional ocean of others to becoming the sovereign island of your own being. We have explored why this journey is, by its very nature, a solitary one. You are learning a new language that the old world does not understand. Your bullshit detector has become exquisitely tuned to the truth, and you no longer need others in the way you once did. You are learning to belong to yourself first. And this is the great, beautiful paradox. The path to true belonging is a path you must, for a time, walk alone. But you do not have to walk it unsupported. The practice of convening your inner council is not just a mental exercise. It is the sacred act of building a sanctuary inside yourself, a place of unwavering support, of profound wisdom, and of unconditional love. It is the process of realizing that you contain within your own soul all the guides you will ever need. You are becoming your own home. And from this place of inner fullness, a new law of attraction begins to operate. You stop being the desperate life raft paddling frantically towards any shore. You become the lighthouse. You stand firm in your integrity. You shine your unique, authentic light out into the world. And you trust. You trust that the right ships, the other lighthouses, the souls that are navigating by the same stars will see your light and find their way to you. Your tribe is not found by searching. It is found by shining. So if you are in this lonely, sacred space, take heart. You are not lost. You are in the final stage of your psychological graduation. Your solitude is not your weakness. It is the evidence of your strength. To honor this profound shift in your own being, I invite you to make a declaration, a claim to the throne of your own inner kingdom. Share in the comments below, "My solitude is a sign of my strength." Let us witness each other not in our noisy connections, but in our quiet, dignified integrity. We have now completed the first great arc of our journey together, the journey of diagnosis and validation. You have learned who you are, why you are. You have been given a new language, a new map for your inner world. But a map is not enough. The world is a complex place, filled with dynamics that can challenge even the most differentiated soul. Now that you know who you are, how do you protect this newfound, precious, authentic self? How do you navigate conversations with those who are still lost in the fog of unconsciousness? This is the next chapter. This is where we move from validation to fortification. We begin the essential work of psychological self-defense, and we will start by learning to identify and neutralize the 5 manipulative questions that are designed to hijack your mind. That is where our journey continues.